Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week. And what a week it has been! It's good to be back here once again on a Sunday afternoon. Before we get to any kind of stories or greetings or anything, I want to first of all say to any of my viewers in Nova Scotia and the Maritimes, who probably won't actually hear me, um, we'll all be thinking of you guys as you clean up the mess from the hurricane that sort of ripped through there. Hopefully the damage, at least in your neck of the woods, is not too bad. All right, and of course, first into the house tonight was Mr. Red Taco, who's looking for his prize. I I swore I had a prize for you, but I placed it somewhere. I don't know what happened to it. I think it was stolen. So, well, maybe next time. Maybe next time. It was just like that prize last time, like it was invisible. Yeah, exactly. You want a bundle of air. It's out there somewhere. Just grab a balloon and hook it up. Anyway, we got a lot of different stories for us today. A lot's happened last week. The market has been absolutely bonkers in response to some of the news. There's been good news last week. There's been bad news, a little bit of in between news. One of the first things, and we'll start this off right away, is we did have the CPI for Canada drop. So that's kind of important. And really interesting thing is it was almost a low key when it dropped, but the signs on that CPI looked really good. So our inflation rate in Canada, it dropped to 7% from 7.6%. That's a crazy amount. They had estimated that it was going to drop, but they thought it was only going to drop to 7.3%. So we pretty much doubled the estimate. So that's fantastic news for Canada. And the core also dropped by 0.3%. So that's not too bad. Now keep in mind, a lot of that has been powered by gas. Gas overall last month dropped 9.6%. And when you think about it, gas pretty much influences the prices of everything else. Even when you're looking at core, when you're not looking at the price of gas, you're not looking at the price of food, well, all of those products are, a lot of the prices on those products reflect, for example, how much it costs to ship them. And what does that rely on? That relies on the price of gas. So gas does affect everything. One thing, though, that was concerning last month, the inflation rate on food was up 10.8%. So that's pretty big, if you ask me. So what exactly is the clear picture? I think I think we're painting a better picture than what we're really actually seeing. And you guys know this. You guys do your grocery shopping. Just look at your price of your bills. Look how much it costs to feed your family. And you'll know that you know, it's still not there. We still need a lot of work to do. Unfortunately, that means there's going to be a lot more rate hikes. And we're going to talk a little bit more about rate hikes a little bit later. So, because they're kind of a big thing. Now, Mr. Red Taco says, I'm going to run like the wind. Oh, yes, to catch that prize. The market seems to be red. Yes, the market is very red. And hello, Jill. Good to see you. The market absolutely kamikazed the end of the week, and we're going to get to that here in just a couple moments. So, but just back to the whole inflation thing. Inflation is still going to be bad the rest of this year. There's no way around it. Even increasing the rate hikes, um, it's not going to bring it down as fast as I think the governing bodies would like to see it come down, which means for us, we're going to see interest rates much higher than we really are going to be comfortable with. So be prepared for that. This is one of these things. One of the things I've been saying for a while is if you've got high interest debt, get that debt paid as fast as possible, because as we move towards a recession, that is going to be you ever heard that saying about an albatross around your neck? That's what that's going to be. So you want to definitely make sure. And Mr. Red Taco is doing a Forrest Gump greeting to Jill. I really kind of wish you were on film doing that, Mr. Red Taco. I'd love to see what that looks like. Anyway, that's what's been going on up here in Canada. Now, speaking of somebody who's been really struggling lately, is Meta. So good old Facebook is actually having some serious issues. So far this year, the share price, so the stock price of Facebook has dropped 60%. So if you're an investor in Facebook, you've lost a lot of money. Will they recover? Maybe, but they have a big issue right now. One of the big issues that's affecting Facebook is they're starting to lose a lot of their advertisers as well as users. And the big culprit has been TikTok. So TikTok has been pulling away Facebook users, advertisers. Um, it's a whole big battle. And interestingly enough, YouTube, they made some changes to their monetization in regards to shorts and different ways people can make money using shorts. So they're doing that to sort of take a shot at TikTok. And so it's going to be interesting. I think the short content creator battle is about to begin, between Instagram and TikTok, and of course good old YouTube. And right now I think YouTube has just made some moves to put them at the top of the list, potentially at the top of the list. So it'll be interesting to see, because I think there's more money to be made on YouTube right now than on TikTok, for example. So watch TikTok. I bet you they're going to be probably shaking some things up over there as well. Mr. Red Taco says, I highly doubt groceries will go down since certain people are making money. Yeah, I mean, the grocery stores have been making record profits, and there's been some stuff in the news about that. They're basically saying, why are you making record profits when we've got people who are buying a lot less food and can barely feed their family and are making, some of the bad choices? Because what happens if you can't afford to feed your family good nutritional food? You've got to turn to them boxes of Kraft dinner, right? I don't know how much a box of Kraft dinner costs anymore, but it's probably like $1 or something. But you're probably going to be going to the more less nutritional food. So that in itself, what's that going to do? It's going to, first of all, it's going to make your family less healthy. It's going to increase medical bills. So it's going to cost us when it comes to healthcare. So it's all kind of this big negative cycle that we're caught in. But, well, we'll have to see how that all works out. And Mr. Red Taco, boy, you're very talkative tonight, Mr. Red Taco. I love it. Facebook isn't the place to be anymore. Apparently, it's for boomers, whatever a boomer is. Okay. Well, a boomer is basically anybody, I think they start around 60 right now, 60 and above. Those are where the boomers start. They're the old folk. Now, I'll tell you myself, I mean, I use the Facebook groups for the channel, of course. So any of you on Facebook, look up Mountain Finance, join the group. And I think part of it too is a lot of people in our community are on the older side of the spectrum, because there's a lot of older finance people. And then we also have a lot of young people too, love them. And that's pretty cool. But yeah, I know a lot of people, especially when you start looking at the Zoomer generation, where they're like, yeah, I'm on Facebook, but that's only to talk to my mom, or, that's pretty much all you get. Uh, and for a while, they've been moving sort of in droves away from Facebook, especially the younger people. Like, it used to be Snapchat, and now it's TikTok, and whoever knows whatever else comes up. And I think YouTube is now sort of gaining a little bit of popularity, at least on that part. So we'll have to see how that's all going to work out. And I think KD is $2 or more now. Holy banana bread. Yeah, but you could go, if you want to really cheap it down, go with the no-name brand. And then you probably cut that price almost in half. And it's just as unhealthy as the regular KD. So, hey, bonus, right? So that's kind of that thing with Meta. Now, not everybody had a bad week. Home Depot down in the States actually beat their earnings estimate last week by like 1.58%, which is fantastic. So that's kind of cool. And Mr. Red Taco, I love what you just said here. So Facebook is filled with ads, kind of annoying. It absolutely is. A lot of times I find now, if I'm in Facebook and I want to scroll, it's like, what's an actual post from somebody I know? I have to sort of hunt because it's so much ads. So yeah, absolutely. I am not big on that with Facebook. I make mac and cheese from scratch in my Instapot. Okay, cool. Yeah, and you can do that. I mean, just buy noodles and you add some cheese, add real cheese, and make it a little bit healthier. So that's kind of a good thing. Now, something really interesting has come out in the last week. It's called the TSX 30. So what the TSX 30 is basically it's the list of the top 30 performers on the Toronto Stock Exchange based over the previous 3-year performance. Now, what's really interesting about this is that most of the top 30 are all in the resource or energy sector, which makes a lot of sense. There's been a lot of stuff going in there. But let me give you the top 5 quickly. So the number 5, we'll go from 5 to 1. So number 5 was Lithium America, so LAC. They were up a whole 391% over the last 3 years. So that's fantastic. Um, Moving up to 4, we got Capstone Copper, so CS. They were up 451%. At 3, we got Crew Energy, so CR. They were up 470%. 2 was Obsidian Energy, OBE, up 537%. And the top spot was Aura Minerals, ORA, up 683%. That'd be a fantastic investment. So a lot of people making money in that sector. And I think that sector is actually going to be a very profitable sector over the next few years, especially where Canada wants to start pumping money into the sector, especially when it comes to the elements that are used. So the minerals being used for, well, EV vehicles, for example. So your lithium, I think is going to be a big in Canada, lithium, copper. There's a lot of different things. And if we start moving towards nuclear power, even the uranium sector could actually be a sector to watch, as well as, I hate to say it, but hydrogen. I know I did a video on hydrogen, but hydrogen is starting to look interesting. I know they just had a bill passed over in Europe where they put a whole bunch of funding into hydrogen creation. So, and then there is that big bill, of course, signed between Germany and Canada. So that'll be really interesting to watch. Like hydrogen is the most plentiful element out there, but if you can make it cheaply and clean and very green, there may be some money in that. So that's kind of a neat little thing to watch. Now, my holy banana bread moment is, well, bananas. So 1 year ago today, if you wanted to buy a kilogram of bananas, you were paying $1.68 for a kilogram of bananas. Or I'm going backwards. 1 year ago, it was $1.61 a kilogram. Today, it's $1.68. So there's been almost no inflation on bananas. Now, there's a reason behind that. There's actually an oversupply issues with bananas, but it's kind of interesting. Now, it kind of reminds me, back when I was a kid, there was a banana war in Nova Scotia. And what ended up happening is all of the major grocery chains were putting bananas on. You could buy a bunch of bananas for like a penny. So they were practically giving bananas away left, right, and center. And of course, you know, I came from a frugal family, so that meant that there was going to be a lot of bananas. There was bananas in my lunch. There was banana bread. There was banana loaves. There was banana muffins. There was a lot of banana going around. So that was definitely kind of cool. I don't think we'll ever see a banana war of that nature again. I would be okay with it though, because I do like the bananas. So that's kind of cool. Mac and cheese screams healthy. That's kind of funny. And there's an oversupply of something. Fake news. Did you read that on Facebook? No, I did not get that off of Facebook. When I'm looking for news, Facebook is pretty much the last place I would go for news. You know, and there's a lot of different. Generally, if it's not a reputable news site, I will turn away because you get a lot of news sites out there that are pretty slanted. So, and I also like to find multiple sources. If there's a major story and it's only on one news site and nobody else has picked up on it, then usually it can be a little bit suspect. So that will be kind of interesting. Now, there was an issue with the supply chain as well. So Ford came out and they announced that they're having some issues right now with a couple of things. First of all, when it comes to part shortages, they have part shortages that are affecting about 45,000 vehicles. And that's kind of cool. Well, it's not cool if you want to buy a Ford. They also said that cost-wise, we're looking at $1 billion in costs for the automaker. So that's kind of a lot interesting thing. And I imagine a lot, well, especially when it comes to chips. Chips tend to be that one thing that is really affecting a lot of car manufacturers right now. And it's going to be interesting to see, because right now, even with the US looking to move all of the chip manufacturing to the US, and putting bans on different exports to China, it's going to take a while to get this backlog taken care of. It's going to get a while to get these factories up and running and get the chips just pumping out. And Pascal says, "Hi, I'm 22. I listen to you while studying. I love your content. Awesome." I like that, which is cool. Now, what are you studying, Pascal? That's what I want to know. Are you studying finance, or are you studying something really different than finance, like, I don't know, mycology, for example, the study of fungi? So that'd be kind of cool to find out. All right. So now you know what? Before we jump into the Fed, I don't want to jump into the Fed yet. I did have a story that is so odd that it has to be true. And that is a story about Beyond Meat. So the COO of Beyond Meat apparently went out and bit somebody in the nose. Now, he's been charged for that, but as a result, that has caused Beyond Meat stocks to slip a little bit. I'm just like, because Beyond Meat, it's supposed to all be about vegetarianism, and somehow I have a feeling that human noses do not qualify as a vegetarian meal. So that's kind of different. One other little thing here before we start talking about the Fed. We've got a new airlines in Canada. It's called Canada Jet Lines. And last week, they did fly their first flight going from Toronto to Calgary. Now, they've only got about 15 airplanes, but they're looking to be, they want to be a mid-tier airlines. So basically, they're calling it cheap flights with a little bit more frills than the no frills airline. So they're trying to fit into this nice little hole in our airline system. Now, here's the thing. One of the advantages they have is by entering the game now, they haven't already put themselves in such a giant hole that all of the other airlines are. So maybe they could be profitable. It would be very interesting to see. I always wondered with Beyond Meat, what did they take out and add back in? Well, I think it's not that they've taken the meat out. It's just, it's not meat. It's some kind of a, I don't know if they're using vegetables and soy and maybe a little bit of tofu to try to simulate the taste of meat. But I don't know. Here's my thought, is that if you want to create a hamburger that tastes like a hamburger, but make it out of vegetables, what's the whole point? Just have a hamburger. Because you could make your own. There's tons of really delicious vegetable stuff that you could have. Anyway, that's just my take on it. Now, I have had veggie burgers before, and I actually, of the veggie burgers that are out there, I kind of like the ones that you can see the peas and stuff in it. You can see that it's a vegetable burger. To me, those ones are cool. So it's kind of neat. Chemical concoctions. Yeah, exactly. They've got pumped full of some interesting chemicals as well, probably. I remember low-fat cheese back in the early 90s. It did not taste like cheese. It tastes like cardboard. Well, here's the thing. I mean, cheese is a fat. Cheese is mostly all fat. If you try to create a low-fat cheese, it's like you've got to be replacing it with cardboard. I mean, it just kind of goes that way. It's one of those interesting things. I mean, we could talk about nutrition all afternoon if you guys wanted to, but when it comes to things like the low fat craze, the thing about low fat is that if you pull the fat out, you're losing a lot of the taste. So you kind of have to then sweeten it to get the taste back. So, you're pulling fat out and you're adding sugar. Sugar is definitely, you don't want too much sugar in your diet, but that's kind of what they do. Instead of going for like a low fat diet or low fat items, just choose some healthy substitutes. Fat is not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. It's usually, I mean, most food is okay if you can have everything in moderation. Just a lot of people can't do the moderation. That's why things like keto work, is because, keto is an easy way to, take control of your hunger if you don't have the willpower to do it on your own. So it's almost like a little bit of a hack. It's like a food hack. Problem is, though, is that things like keto are not very sustainable. Like, and you kind of need to learn new food habits. So if you ever want to move away from it, you don't want to get into a situation where you're eating like, like somebody who hasn't eaten in 6 months. Let's see, I love Cheese Whiz as a kid, but as an adult, it tastes like chemicals and cardboard. Yes, Cheese Whiz is pretty disgusting. It doesn't even taste like cheese. Now you can take something like Velveeta, and that stuff there, you can, it's almost like Cheese Whiz, but at least it tastes a little bit more like cheese melted on some macaroni, and you'll have, well, a pretty good thing here. All right, now let's talk a tiny bit about the Fed. So, as everybody's probably heard, the Fed had their big meeting on Wednesday, and Papa Powell came out and he raised the interest rate by another 75 basis points. So that's taking it over 3%, and that's fine. And that was fine. And that part was okay because the market had already decided that it was going to be a 75 basis point. So it had been priced into the market. The market was okay with that. So everything would have been tickety-boo if it weren't for the fact that Jay Powell's speech, when he decided to give his speech about how hawkish they were being, that the market did not like, and it did not react very well to it. Now, the market had already been on edge with some of the, some of the big earnings calls that have come out in the past, as well as the whole issue the following week before with FedEx sort of giving their expectations for the economy. So the market had that little bit on it, and then Jay Powell was basically saying, yeah, we're going to be pretty much aggressive going forward until we get this down to 2%. And that the market didn't like. So Wednesday, that caused a nice, if you look at the graph, like the S&P was kind of going like this, and then boop, big bump in the S&P. And that was, well, I mean, for me, that was okay because I kind of rode an inverse down quickly and made a little bit of money on that. But it's one of these things where we had that big mark, and then it came back, it corrected a little bit, and then the rest of the week, Thursday and then Friday, pretty much just a red, a series of red as, the week ended, very much in the red. And it's interesting, a few weeks ago, I did a video on September and the rumor that September is usually a red month. Now, the statistics that I pulled out showed that it's slightly towards the red, but closer to a 50-50 draw. But if that's the case, this year, it came up, I think it's coming up red at this point. And that kind of makes sense. This has just been a really bad year, and we're heading towards a recession. Everybody knows that at this point. But here's the big problem now. When it comes to a recession, if we have a worldwide recession, and that's kind of one of the big fears right now that's going on, those worldwide recessions could knock the world economy back 6 years. So that means anybody who started investing just before the pandemic at the higher prices, or even in the pandemic at the higher prices, it might take them 6 years to get their money back, to get all of these corrections, especially if things keep going down. So it could take some time for recovery. Now, 6 years is probably doom and gloom. I'm hoping it would be a lot sooner than that. But I know right now, that's one of the things right now, the world governments are trying their best. It's sort of like they're walking on a razor's edge, trying not to fall in either direction. And that's what we kind of have to hope, is that we don't fall into a full world recession, because that would not be a good scenario, just to put it lightly. Oh, and Jay Borg is in the house. Hey, Jay. And Muggsy's in the house. Wow, 6 years. That's scary. That is very scary. But that's kind of the thing. We've got some pain in front of us. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, it's not going to be that bad. Everything's going to be fine. It's going to be great. You can all be happy. I don't want to be all doom and gloom and say, it's not going to be fine. You're going to have some pain, but you will have some pain. But here's the thing. The best way, as I keep saying, is, take care of your debts, get those high interest debts, get them off the table, get yourself in the best position for whatever the world is of economy, whatever the economy is going to throw at you. And here's the best part about doing it that way is if it does turn out to be a very light recession, and if, the governments of the world manage to prevent a world recession, then bonus, you're in great shape going into that recovery. But if it does go into worst case scenario, um, you're still going to feel the pain, absolutely, but you won't feel it as bad as if you had done nothing to prepare for it. So that's just one of those things I like to sort of say, keep that in the back of your head. It's like, what's going to happen? None of us know. Is it going to be bad? We don't know. Nobody knows. So that's kind of a neat little thing with this economy. And I expect I expect some more pain. I expect it to stay red for a while. So, we're going to have our ups and downs. There's definitely tons of ways to make money on the market, whether it's red or not. Um, and sometimes it's just one of these days. Like I will, one of the things I've talked a little bit about inverse ETFs, those ones, they can make you money, but they can also lose you money pretty quickly. So if you're ever playing with an inverse ETF, um, watch it. Don't just sort of, don't dollar cost average into an inverse. Because if you watch and play an inverse correctly, it can be a source of money. But problem is that if you played an inverse the wrong way, it can lose your money twice as fast, especially because most of these things have 2x leverage on them. And that's one of the things that I'm always wary about leverage, for the simple reason that it's so easy to lose money when you use leverage. But, and that's one of the things, like, I do, to make money, I do day trading, and I try to stay away from leverage because, well, there's two different things. When it comes to day trading, a lot of people who don't have a lot of money to use for day trading, they will tend to go with leverage because that way there they can make more money. Because obviously, the more money that you use, the more you can make as you're playing the market, as you're playing different swings on your charts. But here's that thing: you can also lose money horrifically fast that way too. It's one of the reasons why a day trader who's using leverage, they can lose everything they have pretty darn fast if they make some really bad moves. I don't like to use leverage. What I do like to do is I like to use more money instead. So, instead of taking $5,000, for example, and using like a, maybe a 5x leverage on it, well, I would rather just use 25,000 because then I can control things a little bit better. Because it does make a difference, because you're not losing that money at the rate that you would when you don't have the money to lose. This way here, you have the money, you have more room. But anyway, big thing I'll say about day trading: highly dangerous. It's not something you want to just sort of start flying into. You also want to make sure that the money that you're using in something like day trading is money that you have to lose, because otherwise it just doesn't make sense to be using it. So I'll just put that out there. Now, I did do a day trading, just sort of the video I did on day trading yesterday was more or less just to see if that's something that may or may not suit you. It's just a little pros and cons mostly. Now I have been getting some interest in that, so I will probably be looking at doing a how to get started in day trading next. We might even go beyond that. I just want to make sure that that's something that you guys want, or at least enough of you want it. Like, I won't put the day trading will always be on a Saturday video, because the core community, they've got their Monday, they got their Monday list video, and they got their Thursday deep dive video. And I want to keep it that way because I love this group, and I want to give everybody what they want. Then Saturday's kind of I usually call it This Week Presents. I'll either do something commentary wise, but if I want to do something like the day trading stuff, I'll throw that on a Saturday video without intersecting with the others. Now, something else coming up too, really cool here. Our 1,000 sub celebration video, that will be coming pretty soon from the looks of things. We are in the 990s, so it won't take that long to get to 1,000, and then we will have that video as I promised. So that's going to be Really, really good. Now, Muggsy says, absolutely get prepared. Yeah, back again to the inflation, or sorry, to the recession. You want to be absolutely prepared. That day trading video was extremely helpful, Candace. Thank you. Well, hopefully it got you in the general idea. Like, I'll show you how to do it. I have no problems doing that. But I will pepper it with caution every step of the way because it is dangerous. And last thing I want to see is somebody saying, "Oh my God, Candace is making this crazy amount of money by doing this. I can do that too." And throwing money in that you can't afford to lose. That's the last thing I want to see, and that's why I will go out of my way to throw every amount of caution at you I can. And we have a Nate Palmatier in the house. Hey, Nate, it is good to see you. Wow, Candace, love that you are hitting this mark, being one of your first 10 subs. Awesome. Yeah, Nate Palmatier is pretty awesome. He also has a channel, folks. So just look up Nate Palmatier on YouTube. Now he does do financial videos, although lately he's been doing renovation shorts as he's building his house. But he has built a new studio, so I'm expecting some long form from him in the fall. So, and his little videos are pretty cool and catchy. So if you want to check Nate out, just search Nate Palmatier in YouTube and throw him up a sub and check out his content. He is awesome. All right, that's Nate. Now another person too. I just want, while I was promoting Nate, I want to also promote Create. I was talk about Scott here from Create, Save, Invest, and he is awesome as well. He actually gave me a pump this week, and the two of us are basically neck and neck as we head towards that 1,000 subs. So yeah, Create, Save, Invest. So just do a search on that and you'll find Scott there. He does a lot of, he shows you his portfolio. It's more or less almost a, come in and see what I'm investing in. And that is pretty awesome. And Nate says, you don't have to plug me. Thanks so much. Enjoy the dance music. Oh, it is. Every so often, Nate throws a song or something on one of his shorts that is kind of catchy and it's looping just the right way that I just like, I'll start to do something else and forget. And I'll be like, oh, damn, I've just cycled his short for like 20 minutes. It certainly helps on his playtime, but it's kind of cool that way. Anyway, yeah, so there's that. So the celebration stream, I started to talk about that, and then I got distracted. So at the 1,000 subs, we're doing a celebration stream. It's not going to be on this channel though, because there's going to be a little bit of drinking involved. I promised I would have a few drinks for that. So I'm going to put it on just the straight up Candace Mountain channel. I will link it. I will put the link, of course, on the Facebook group, and I will also add the link to the community tab. So if you go to community under the channel, you'll be able to find it there. I don't yet have the date, but from the looks of things, it's probably going to be around the turn of the month. So that looks like it could be a fantastic and fun time. Now, I will say when I start to drink, I get silly. Now, I haven't drinking or had a drink in years, so it probably won't take much for me to go all silly. So that'll be kind of fun. We'll have to see how that goes. And the reason I'm putting it on a separate channel opposed to this is that because there is alcohol involved, that to me is not something I want to reflect on this channel because, this is we're more professional folk and, and the silliness I think doesn't belong on the channel. So, we've got our own brand of silliness. Like every time I say banana bread, that's a little bit of silliness, but, yeah, that's what we're going to do there. So that'll be fantastic. All right. So coming up this week as well, this was a light news week, by the way. So I'm pretty much we're just going to talk. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we will talk about. I don't have a lot. I don't have any more news, to be honest. This week coming up, I've actually got a really big list for you guys tomorrow. I have a list of 30. So yeah, 30. What it is it's basically, I wanted to do a quick thing on CDRs. And one of the things I've always found is like, I keep finding a CDR and I'm like, oh, I didn't know there was a CDR for that company. And I didn't know there was a CDR for that one. So I found all 30 CDRs, and I'm going to bring those to you tomorrow. We're going to move really fast through them because obviously I don't want to throw up like an hour-long video by doing a deep dive on 30 companies. So we're just going to zip through those tomorrow. That will be kind of fantastic. I haven't yet figured out which my deep dive is on Thursday. It may be for Lightspeed. I think somebody has requested that I do a deep dive on Lightspeed. I have to look and see if that's going to go in Thursday. That'll be either this Thursday or the following Thursday. So that will be kind of interesting as we get there. So that'll be Lightspeed for us. Yeah, I think that's all that that I have, at least channel-wise. Now going into, we're going to talk a little bit about the other side of 1,000. So, as far as I know, there's going to be no real channel changes. I kind of like the format that we have right now. Keeps me busy enough, so I don't see too much changing. I see everything moving forward, just the way it is. Now you guys as well, I also want to keep in mind, I love it when you guys request content because then I know what you want. And sometimes it's nice. Like sometimes if I'm guessing, it's like, okay, well, are they going to like a video on Pfizer, for example? Maybe you will, maybe you won't. It might bomb, it might not. But when you guys are actually asking, then I'm not, even if it bombs, I'm like, well, you know what? At least I know a handful of people really like that. So how can you request videos? Very, very simple. You can ask in here and I will, I'll note it down. Or once again, the Facebook group. That's a fantastic place. Just go in there, make a post and say, hey, Candace, do a video on this. And I probably will. Or just a comment on any one of my videos on YouTube. That would be actually in here, or the Facebook group would probably be almost a guaranteed that I'm going to do it. If it's a comment on my video, I might miss it because I'll tell you what happens sometimes. Sometimes people will comment, but they will put something in the comment that I don't even get to see it. I know that there's been a couple times YouTube just completely deletes a comment. Sometimes I may miss a comment because if you put a dot in there, it thinks you're trying to put a URL, and sometimes with a URL, YouTube will can it on you, and that is never good. I also want to do. Oh, here's another thing too. I also want to do, in addition to the live stream, that 1,000 celebration live stream is just that. I want to do a Q&A. I want to do a Q&A as just a special video. Part of the whole one, I think the Q&A is going to be more of the 1 year celebration that's coming up. Now, 1 year is coming up October 7th. So for the 1 year, I would like to do a Q&A. So that's one of those things. Once again, in the Facebook group, if you just want to, you can even message me on Facebook. I don't care. Or you can email me. There is an email attached to this account with Q&A questions. Or I'm also going to probably put a comment. I probably should do that after this show. I'm going to put a comment on the comments tab in YouTube so that you can sort of drop questions in there, because I'd love to do, and as many questions, and they don't even have to be finance. Like, it could be like, what was your first pet? And I'll tell you about my first pet. So I just want to do something that's kind of fun, more or less. It's your opportunity to get to know me better. I probably won't get to know you guys any better, but you never know. So that's just kind of one of those things that I do want to do for the 1 year thing, because it's kind of cool to have hit I haven't hit it yet, but coming up on the 1 year, the monetization happening at 1,000. So it's kind of an exciting time. It's a whole year of work put through, and and we're going strong. We're going to keep going strong. That's my plan anyway. So that's kind of what's going on here. So. All right, you guys are not very talkative, so I'm just gonna have to start pulling stuff out of my head, which is fine. I can do that. So what about? Now I can talk a little bit more about day trading, I suppose. So one of the big things about day trading, I'll give you a bit of an overview of what day trading is. Normally, when you're day trading, the whole object is that you're trying to do all of your trading within a day. That's why it's called day trading. That's what makes it a little bit different from swing trading. So swing trading will happen over multiple days. That can even happen over a month because you're just playing swings. So day trading, you're still playing swings. You're looking at volatility and you're playing the ups and the downs in different different assets, but you're doing it all in one day. So you normally will start off with a float at the beginning of your day. So let's say you're starting off with we'll just use 5,000 as your float. If you're starting off with $5,000, you're going to play that $5,000 through the day. You're going to be buying and selling assets through that day. And at the end of the day, you're completely cashing all of those assets out. So then you have your money. So let's say you finish the day with $5,500. Then you made $500. So that 500, you can do whatever you want. You can even leave it in the float if you want it to build up, or you just take that because that's your profit. And then the next day you would start again with another 5,000. So what I normally do is whatever profits are there, because I have my set float, whatever profits are there, I will take them and I will maybe throw them on a credit card or move them wherever I need some money to go for a bill or something of that nature. So that's kind of the way I handle it. So I will go in. Now, here's one of the big things. The most dangerous time is that first 15 minutes. And the reason why that is so dangerous is that all of the crap that has happened off hours is going to cause some really big movements in the markets. Now, here's the problem. I'll give you an example. There was one day where I was looking at oil and oil was just flying up in price. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to jump in on this ETF, this oil ETF first thing, and it's going to fly up. Well, yeah, but the problem is you put your order in before the market opens and it takes a while for that order to process. So it did fly up in price. It went really fast. And by the time my order processed, I was up at the top and then it started its fall. So I ended up selling out because I kind of recognized I missed that bump, which I was trying to hit. And then I had to recover from that loss. And I did. I made bunch more trades through the day. And that, of course, got me out of that loss. But that's where it becomes a little bit dangerous in the beginning, is you don't know how that is going to happen. Now, what I normally will do is I will normally not even try to trade anything in about the first 15 minutes. I give it 15 minutes for the market to settle out so that things become a bit more predictable. Then at that point, I'll go, if I'm using that oil ETF, for example, I'll go in. Now, here's the thing too. If you're just using one asset, you're putting all of your eggs in one basket. So you're not going to come in and, you're not going to go, okay, I'm going to put all 5,000 on this and play it. You'll probably be playing, maybe 3, 4 different things. So you're splitting your money up. That way if 2 of them do what you're hoping and one of them completely tanks, you're usually still in profits at that point. So it's kind of that whole thing where you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. But I mean, sometimes when everything is absolutely falling and an inverse is in play because of that, sometimes I put a bit more of my eggs in that basket only because, but I watch it like a hawk. And it's kind of one of those other things. Now, here's the other big thing too. When you're day trading, the worst thing that you can have is greed, because things will go up, 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 and then they'll fall and then go up, up, up. So while you're on that up, 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 a lot of people are like, okay, I'm just going to wait till it starts to fall and then try to get out. Well, sometimes it falls pretty rapidly. So normally what I'm doing is I'm figuring how many ticks I want to go up, because I know that, for example, that each tick is maybe worth, let's say each tick is worth $20. So if I go up 5 ticks, I'm up $100. But each ticket goes up, the chances of it falling get higher. So I look at it this way. I'm going to take a few ticks up. I'm going to cash out, let it fall, buy back in, go up a few ticks, cash out, fall, go back in. So that's kind of the way I'm doing it, because that's going to give me smaller profits, but safer profits. So I'm making profit, 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 profit as I'm going up. So that's one of the ways that I will handle that. And that works out really, really well. But here's the other thing. When you are looking at, even if you've gone up a couple of ticks, you don't want to just look at the price and say, okay, yeah, I'm up a couple of ticks, I'm going to. No, because sometimes the market's not going to give you that price. You need to look at the bid ask, because that will give you basically the span of what you're going to get. So between the two figures, so let's say you wanted to get out at 153, you look at the bid ask, and you get 150, 151. Well, you're not getting that 153. So if you cash out at that point, you're taking a loss. So you want to always be looking at that little range. Generally, the smaller part of the range is what you're going to get when it comes to selling. And the higher part of that range is pretty much what you're going to pay when it comes to buying. So you always want to be looking at the bid ask range, because that will let you know what you're actually paying. And you don't want surprises, because sometimes, especially with things that don't have huge volumes, the bid ask can be completely um, skewed away from the price that it's showing. And when that happens, holy banana bread, you don't want those surprises. You don't want to be sitting there going, oh my God, I've made it up a couple of knocks. I'm going to make $100 by making this sale. And you make the sale and you lose. Now there is also, I'll put this in, this is more or less dumb luck. When something does go up and the bid ask looks great, that moment, in the moment of you reaching to do your click and all of the transmission, things can fall. So you can just have that very, very bad luck. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does occasionally happen. So that's just one of those things that you want to always be cognizant about when it comes to day trading. Now, we got a couple of comments here. So what's our Elon friend buying this week? I don't know. Last I heard, the only thing I heard about Elon this week is that he was trying to get an exemption because apparently he wants to be able to put Starlinks up in Iran, and there's sanctions against doing business with Iran, but he's thinking that's just for communication's sake. So that's the only thing I've heard about him this week. Muggsy says, when people are learning to day swing trade, do you know if there is a site where they can practice without using real money? There probably are sites, but here's the thing. This is how I do it, is instead of using a site, I will just do it in Excel if I was practicing, because you can, the math, it's not like it's hard math. Especially when you consider the whole bid ask spread, you can just do it very quickly that way to sort of get a general idea. But I know that there are some practice sites for stocks, and I imagine they would work okay with practicing for swing trading. It's just a matter of, Muggsy, I will do some research on that, because I never really did the practice, because I kind of caught on to it very fast when I started. And, and a lot of it for me is that I have a very analytical mind, and I'm very good at seeing patterns. And that really, really, really helps me, because I can sort of see what's going on. Now, Apollo says, oh, here we go. Maybe this is it. Apollo says paper trading online. So check that out. And hi, Apollo. I don't think I've seen you before. It's nice to see you, especially if this is your first time or if you're newer. But give that a try. Take a look at paper trading online. And Muggsy, if that is not what you're looking for, let me know and I will scour the internet and see if I can find something for you. Oh, and here we go. Create, save, invest. I was talking about him the other day, this morning. Hey, Candace, looks like we're tied for subs. Yeah. Actually, it was really interesting. I was watching both of our sites this morning, and he was sitting at 994. Then I got up to 993. Then I got up to 994, and he fell to 993. And I'm like, oh, man, I wish we were tied. And then I fell to 993. I got my wish, just not in the way that I had hoped it. But we are neck and neck for 1,000. So I would like to see us both get there. Any of you guys who are not subbed to Create, Save, Invest, do me a solid. Just go over there and throw him a sub. Put the pressure on me, because if you knock him up, I'm going to get up there, because I will, that's just how I roll. So put the pressure on me. And beautifully enough, Scott has insanely good content. So, we might both be having 1,000 celebration videos around the same time. So that's what I'm hoping for. And the friggin' Oracle, another call I made, MIVI token started at 0.009 and reached $8. And that's fantastic, because if you think about it, I do my day trading on the stock market, but the friggin' Oracle, he does, I don't know if I'd call it day trading. It's more swing trading, but he does some really good stuff with some of these new assets. Now he plays, and I will also put this up as well. When it comes to trading more like super volatile, so for example, penny stocks, you have you can make the most money trading penny stocks, 100%. I don't do that myself because I'm a conservative trader. I'm a conservative day trader. I have a high success rate because I know which stocks are not going to tank me, and I can when I make a mistake, my mistakes are very recoverable generally. So that is one of the things I look at. All right. And Duarley says, "Hey Candace, what platform you use for daily trade?" Holy banana bread. I like that last part. Okay, yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to day trading, I do my trading in National Bank's brokerage accounts. So I do use National Bank. It is commission free, so that's important to me because one, I don't want to be paying commissions and I don't want all these transaction fees. So I do use them. Of course, I love my Wealth Simple. That is for all of my investment stuff is for Wealth Simple, but day trading, I do it over in National because I like to keep them separate. I also really, I kind of like the interface at National Bank as well. So that's kind of the reason I'm using that. There are definitely other options out there, but that is what I use. Jill says, I'm looking to do the practice stuff myself for day trading. I will let people in the community know. Perfect. So yeah, so Jill wants to learn how to day trade, and we'll see how that goes. And Muggsy is thanking you, Apollo. Awesome. That is pretty darn cool. So yeah, so those are just a little bit of some of the basics when it comes to day trading. The big thing, of course, is, and here's this other thing too. This is kind of a neat thing. When I first started day trading, I would get to a point where something would start dropping. So I'd put my money in, it starts dropping, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I would start to feel it because I'm like, oh, I've dropped more ticks than I want to. But almost every time that I then bailed and took the loss to move on, it would rebound almost immediately. And I'd be like, don't. So sometimes I find a little patience. And that's where if you're investing in a few different assets, at least that gives you the time to wait. While you're waiting on that one, you can be playing on the other ones. Now that's something though with a penny stock, I would be very leery because when it does drop, it can be pretty drastic. But if you're playing with something that is mid cap or above, um, that it's not going to go all the way down to zero, and that it's going to bounce back. It's just a matter of time if you get locked in. Now, the only problem is what happens if you're coming towards the end of your day and you're locked in. It really will come down. That's where you have to sort of make a judgment call. As a day trader, I'm going to just take that loss if that happens. But I'm not aiming to end at 4. I usually like to be cashing out about 2 o'clock if I can, unless it's one of these markets where there's just so much money to be made. I might hang in a little bit longer, but I try to look for exits earlier so I don't get caught in trades to a point where, I'm forced to take a loss. I don't like to let something sit overnight when it comes to day trading. I simply like to hold off. I simply like to be able to go to bed at night, not worrying about what the price of oil is going to do, for example. Now, I do use oil a lot when it comes into day trading, and I'll tell you why. Because one of the stocks that I day trade, for example, is an oil ETF. And the reason I do that is because there's a slight delay between the movement in the price of oil and the ETF. So when I'm watching it, if I see oil start to fly up, I know I can go all in on that ETF. And it's going to be going up. And then as soon as I see oil stop, I know that this thing is going to reverse direction soon. So it's then time to cash out and sit and wait for the next swing. So some things you can do that. So another thing that you could probably do as well, if you were to trade some Bitcoin ETFs, for example, you could probably you can probably watch the price of Bitcoin and sort of use that as a gauge to know when something's about to change on you. So that would be just another thing that you could use. And Muggsy says, "What a great community! You ask and you receive." Absolutely, and that's the thing. Um, I really like the way that everybody sort of comes together in this community. Asks, we all ask a lot of questions. Everybody answers. People definitely come together. And how does day trading work with government rules? So the biggest considerations when it comes to the government is you can't day trade in anything that's registered. So for example, you cannot day trade in your TFSA. You cannot day trade in your RRSP. If you do, you are in trouble. So that's just the way that works. Um, I don't know the exact fines that you would get. Most likely you'll get fined for doing that. Um, so that is not something that you want to do. And the way I look at it with your TFSA, there's nothing wrong with selling something and buying something else, or rebalancing in your TFSA. But if they see actual day trading activity in your TFSA, you will be in some pretty hot water with the CRA. And you could also be in some legal hot water as well. The other big thing when you're thinking about different considerations for trading, especially for day trading, is day trading does not have capital gains and losses. It is all business income, business, you have business gains, business losses. So it is 100% taxable, everything that you gain. Now, mind you, anything you lose will certainly wipe that out because you can balance them against each other, but you can't balance, for example, if you've got some capital gains, you can't use that to cover business losses. So they kind of don't mix. It creates this whole separate entity, and that's one of those things to always be aware of. So if you're being very successful at day trading, you want to be putting money aside for taxes because you're just like that. You're like an entrepreneur. You're making money, but you're not paying your CPP. You're not just paying your EI, and those things are required to pay, of course. And then the government's going to want to take their fair share. So there's ways you can work around it. So you can use your RRSP to mitigate some of that down. Um, with stocks, it's much easier because you can do tax loss harvesting. It's much harder to do that when you're dealing with business income. So you have to kind of work around that and, be aware of the taxes that are involved. Remember, you're not paying taxes. So the tax man still wants his share, and the tax man will come for his share by the end of the year. So you want to be absolutely cognizant of that. Now, Paulo says TD Bank offers something called Think or Swim for paper trading in real time. Oh, there we go. Yeah, and I think Scotiabank also has one where they'll let you play with some fake money as well. So I think most of the banks probably have that. But yeah, Think or Swim sounds pretty. I like the name of that. So that is another thing that they have, at least over in the TD Bank. So those are just a few little things when you're looking at day trading. Now keep in mind, and I want to put this out there, 85 um, 85% of, if you're a really good day trader, you're only going to be successful about 85% of the time. So you will have 15% of the time you're going to lose. You're going to make bad trades. And if those 15% all come together at once, so, like 3 in a row, you could have a bad day. And that's why the emotional thing, and that's why on the video I was talking about on Saturday, I was talking a little bit about the psychology. You want to really make sure you have that day trading psychology before you get into it. If you are one of these people that is absolutely going to go bananas if you lose, you need to be able to maintain that level head. You have to kind of come in it's almost like you have to divorce yourself from the money and just think of it as, coming in to do this, this, and this and make these gains. But you have to really sort of isolate yourself. Not a lot. I mean, you still feel it. I mean, when I lose, it sucks, but I don't react to it. I don't allow myself to get carried down into that, oh my God, I've lost this much. I've got to make an even riskier move now to try to fill that hole. No, you don't want to make a riskier move. And sometimes if you've lost, you may just want to cash out. take a half an hour, go have a sandwich or something, come back, and make sure you're coming in with a level head. Because as soon as you feel that emotions are starting to take part in the trading, that's when you need to stop trading, because it will get the better of you. Good old emotions. All right, so we're coming up towards the end of the show. If you guys got any last minute questions, drop them in right now. And as I said, tomorrow CDRs. Thursday, I think it's going to be light speed. I'm not 100%, but I think it will be. And then we got that 1,000 sub stream coming up soon. Obviously, if for some reason I just stay at 993 for the next month, it won't happen for a month, but I don't think that'll happen. I'm pretty much anticipating hitting 1,000 probably before midweek. So, towards the end of the week, we're probably looking at that stream, and I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Well, anyway, guys, I want to thank you guys for coming out. It has been another fantastic Sunday afternoon. I love these afternoons with you guys. It is so awesome. All right. So we'll be back here again next week to do the exact same thing. And we'll be back as well for that celebration stream. So look forward to that. I look forward to talking to you guys some more. Anyway, it's been a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and have a fantastic start to the week. And hopefully it'll be green for you guys. That's what I hope anyway. Take care.